Yeah. So as I was saying, uh, we are doing the case studies which are there in your economics textbooks. Since we have already covered the explanation part of the lesson, we will do the case studies. On page 21 in your economics textbook, there is a table which is shown, and the first example, table 2.1 as it says, and the first example in that it reads, imagine what would happen if farmers refuse to sell sugarcane to a particular sugar mill. The mill will have to shut down. That is the example which is given. So what does this show? This shows that the secondary or the industrial sector is dependent on the primary sector. Now the farmers supplying sugarcane, they belong to the primary sector, right? And they are supplying the sugarcane to the sugar industry. So this sugarcane will undergo lots of processing, and finally you get the sugar granules that you use in your house on everyday basis. So this sugarcane industry is an example of the secondary sector or the industrial sector. So this industrial sector is heavily dependent on the primary sector. So if the farmer is refusing to sell the sugarcane to the sugarcane factory, then the sugarcane factory will not be able to function. It would have to shut down. So this is an example which shows that the secondary or industrial sector is dependent on the primary sector. Similarly, you can go to the second one now. Please read out the second one. I'll read it out, and then I would like someone to tell me what this actually shows. The second example says, imagine what would happen to cotton cultivation if companies decided not to buy from the Indian market and import all the cotton they need from other countries. Indian cotton cultivation will become less profitable and the farmers may even go bankrupt. If they cannot quickly switch to other crops, cotton prices will fall. So I would like someone to unmute and tell me what does this example actually show you. What does it say? I'll read it out once again. Imagine.
So,
Yes.
so the primary
And
section is dependent on the secondary section.
example of primary sector is dependent on secondary sector.
Primary sector being dependent on the tertiary sector. Okay, that's good. That's good. How would you say that the primary sector is dependent on the tertiary sector over here? Why is that?
So it is dependent on secondary sector.
Okay, Shamli, can you please just repeat that once again?
So primary sector and secondary sector.
Yeah, that is true. That is true what you said. But why is that? Why do you think that the primary sector over here in this particular case is dependent on the tertiary sector? What is the relation over here in this example? What you said, your answer is absolutely right. But you need to understand the meaning of your answer. Now, why are you saying for this example that the primary sector is dependent on the tertiary sector? What is that? What have you picked up from this example which gives you that? It is an example of primary sector, says Rakshita. Sakshi also was saying something. Sakshi also can unmute and you can tell me.
Sir, I told this thing. Sir, my answer was
What is
So that tertiary activities.
What comes under tertiary sector activities?
So that import and export activity.
Yes, absolutely
Commercial
right.
activities.
Yes, correct. This is what I was looking for. See, you need to identify what it is and then you will understand. The import and export activities comes under the tertiary activities. And then the cultivation of cotton, obviously, we know that it is a primary sector activity. So this cultivation of cotton, it depends upon this import export so that the prices don't come crashing down for the cotton farmers. That is why the primary sector also is dependent on the tertiary sector. There is interdependency. It is not that only the primary is on the top and then the secondary. And is my voice clear to everyone? Abhishek says my voice is cracking.
Sir, that is clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir, it's clear.
Yeah. Let us go to the next example. Things will get much more clearer to everybody. I'll read it out. Farmers may buy goods such as tractors, pump sets, electricity, pesticides, and fertilizers. Imagine what would happen if the price of fertilizers or pump sets go up. Cost of cultivation for the farmer would rise and their profits will reduce. Over here, what sectors are involved and why, and what is the dependency over here? Yep. Purva, would you like to give me the answer for this?
Sir, here secondary sector affects the primary sector.
Yes, again, right, Sagar. Here, the primary sector is dependent on the secondary sector, or rather, any change in the policies or the pricing of the products which come out from the secondary sector is affecting the primary sector directly. It is affecting their work, and henceforth, it is affecting their profits also. Right, good. The last example over here, people working in industrial and service sectors need food. Imagine what would happen if there is a strike by transporters and lorries refuse to transport vegetables and milk from rural areas. Food will become scarce in urban areas, whereas farmers will be unable to sell their products. What is happening over here?
So this is an example of primary sector being depending on the tertiary sector.
Yes, absolutely right over here. The service industry over here, basically the transportation industry, that is getting affected over here because they are on strike and they are not transporting the vegetables and the milk which is produced by the primary sector, and it is not going to all the other sectors. So the tertiary sector is not only affecting the primary sector, it is affecting all the sectors over here. So the main thing to learn. Yeah, correct. Secondary and tertiary dependent on primary, or no, here it is secondary and primary both dependent on tertiary. That's what this last example says over here. So the main thing to learn from these four examples in the table that is given over here is there is an interdependency. There is an interdependency. These three sectors which are there, in no way does it say that this is only primary is the most important and then we have the secondary and then the tertiary, which people sometimes feel that is the least important. It does not work that way. All the three sectors are equally important because all the three sectors contribute to the GDP in their own way. So any one sector is not functioning properly, it is going to affect the other two sectors. There is interdependency, any one sector. So that is the main learning from this. Is it clear to everyone from what you learned from this example? Okay, any doubts by anyone? Okay, I would like all of you to come to page number 31. Page number 31 in your textbooks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is a blue section over there which shows you an exercise to work out. Look at the following examples. Which of these are unorganized sector activities? The first one, we have a teacher taking class in a school. So what do you think, this is organized sector or unorganized sector?
So organized.
Organized.
Organized, okay, good. The second one, we have a head load worker carrying a bag of cement on his back in a market. So the second example, a head load worker. Unorganized, okay.
Unorganized.
Okay, good. Okay. A farmer irrigating her field. Farmer irrigating her field. What do you feel this is?
Unorganized.
Unorganized, right? Correct. A doctor in a hospital treating a patient.
Organized.
Organized.
Organized, that's good. Okay. A daily wage laborer working under a contractor.
Unorganized.
Unorganized, yes, that's good. Okay. A factory worker going to work in a big factory.
Organized.
A factory worker going to work in a big factory. Organized or
Unorganized.
why unorganized?
Organized.
Sir, it is difficult to
Organized.
See, here what you need to understand is they have given the word big factory. Okay, so if it's a big factory, you can assume very safely that there are large number of workers working in that factory. And once the number of workers in a factory crosses the number of 8, as per the government rules, if the number of workers crosses the number of 8 in any factory, then that factory has to compulsorily follow each and every law which is there associated with labor law, provide them with proper wages, provide them with unemployment, sorry, retirement benefits like provident fund, all these things, medical incentives, all these things have to be provided by that factory. So here when they say it's a worker working in a big factory, it means that this will come under the organized sector. Handloom weaver working in her house.
Unorganized.
Unorganized, absolutely right. Very good. Yeah. Okay. On page number 30, we again have a few small case studies which will help us in our understanding of this organized and unorganized sector. I'll just read this out to you. The first one is Kanta. On page number 30, there's a case study given of Kanta. Kanta works in an office. She attends her office from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. She gets her salary regularly, and at the end of every month, she gets a salary. In addition to the salary, she also gets provident fund as per the rules laid down by the government. She also gets medical and other allowances. Kanta does not go to office on Sundays. This is a paid holiday for her. When she joined work, she was given an appointment letter stating all the terms and conditions of work. So this very clearly we understand that this is an example of Kanta who is in the organized sector.
organized.
So she is working in an organized sector. Everything is systematic. When she joined work itself, she got a letter of appointment which stated all the terms and conditions, what her monthly salary would be, what would be the PF contribution, provident fund contribution in that, what would be the medical benefits that she is getting. So all that, yes, absolutely right, Prathamesh. Her job is secured, provided she, performs in that job and does her duties to the best of her abilities without neglecting things. That is how the private sector normally works. Okay. So this is the organized sector.
Even getting,
Yes, Sagar, come again.
sir, even she is getting leave applications.
Yes, she has leaves also. She definitely does have leaves, and Sunday is a paid holiday for her, like we all get, right? So next one we have Kamal, who is incidentally Kanta's neighbor. Okay, he is a daily wage laborer in a nearby grocery shop. He goes to the shop at 7:30 in the morning and works till 8 o'clock in the evening. So you can see the number of hours he's working is much more than Kanta, from 7:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening. He gets no other allowances apart from his wages. He is not paid for the days he does not work. If he does not come to work any day, he does not get paid for that particular day. He has therefore no leave or paid holidays. Nor was he given any formal letter saying that he has been employed in that shop. The shopkeeper or the shop owner has not given him any kind of letter. It's just word of mouth. He has joined and he has started working. He can be asked to leave at any point of time if the employer is not happy with the work he is doing or he does not require him anymore. The employer can just immediately ask him, please don't come to work from tomorrow. You are not required. So this is the example of the unorganized sector, how unstable their lives could be in an unorganized sector, right? His job is totally unsecured, and when he wakes up in the morning, he really has no clue whether the next day he'll be having a job for himself or he will not be having. So that is the situation of the unorganized sector, right? I hope this is clear to everyone, the organized and the unorganized sector. Yeah, 11 hours a day he is working, and still his job is unsecured. That's the tragedy of the unorganized sector, wherein in the organized sector it is a government rule that the person should not be working more than 8 hours in a day. That is the rule, or 48 hours in a week. 48 or 6 into 8, so there is a restriction on the number of working hours in a day also. What is meant by tragedy? Tragedy means basically a very sorrowful story, a very sad story. Okay. Yeah. One minute, students, please hold on. Okay. See, in your economics textbooks, now in the middle of the lessons also there are plenty of questions and all that which are asked. So more than attending to the questions which are back of the lesson, we need to go through the questions which are there in the body of the textbook also. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay, again on page number 21, we have another small exercise. Let us do that as well. Just need to classify which is primary, secondary, or tertiary. Will help us, clear our understanding of this. A handloom weaver working in her house. Sir, how is this unorganized sector? Can you please explain? Okay. Yeah, a handloom weaver working in her house basically means that she is self-employed. Okay, and she will earn as she works. It is not like she is going to get a fixed income from someone. The more she produces, the more she'll be able to earn in case she falls sick because of bad health or something, or some problem is there, she's not able to get her raw materials, she will not be able to produce, and in turn she will not be able to earn also. So the work is highly unstable over there, right? So this instability which is there, wherein it is she is a sole earning member of that who is doing work from her own house. That's the reason why it comes under unorganized. Even though the work that she does is a good work, it is not like she is doing some kind of labor work or something, but still it is on her own that she is working. It is very similar to if my mother were to take up a sewing machine and stitch it at home and sell those things. That would be a work which is comes under the unorganized sector, because there is no large corporate or large company which is involved over there. That's the reason it comes under unorganized. So actually, in India, we have more number of people under the unorganized sector rather than the organized sector. Okay, don't be under the impression that as a country, India has more number of people working in the organized sector. It is actually the opposite. Our unorganized workforce is much more than the organized workforce. If job is secure, it is organized or unorganized. If there is a job security, it is not the only one single factor, Ankit. It is not only one single factor. There are multiple factors which categorize or make it come together and make it as organized. Okay, so that's why it is uh, now like this person who is yeah, and that's that due to lack of education and increase in physical efforts. Yes, that also could be there. Now, and I'll give you another example. I'll give you another example. A person who is just maybe 8th or 7th standard pass. Okay, a person who is just passed out of school. Somehow he has passed out of school. Now he is a working age, but he's never cleared his 10th standard. He has been working in a garage as a mechanic. He works in a garage as a mechanic. He learns all the things what has to be done with the two-wheeler vehicles and all that. And this from there he goes on and he starts his own garage. Okay, he starts his own garage and he starts employing more and more people, a nice and big garage, and eventually after a period of 7 or 8 years, he is able to own his own two-wheeler repair garage wherein he hires around 20 mechanics with him. So now this person who doesn't have any kind of educational qualification, but he has been able to organize his own business and hire 20 other people to work with him. So he actually now is in the organized sector. If he is hiring so many people and he has his own business, he is now actually in the organized sector, wherein he started out as the unorganized sector because he did not have any kind of qualification. So it is not like once in the unorganized sector you're always going to stick into that. There always changes happen, and the factors, you cannot pinpoint it exactly that uneducated person or lack of education or no physical efforts or more physical efforts. There are many things involved. A person working in a small clothing shop which has two people working over there, small clothes store, or a person assistant to a tailor, we can say assistant to a tailor. This person also doesn't, there's no physical work involved. He just needs to sit and do some measurements and cut. That's all. That's the only work that he has. There's no physical work involved. So that also is unorganized. So it is the situation which you need to see. Lots of combinations which you need to see and judge for yourself whether this person is working under organized or unorganized. But schools aren't required for a person to learn something. There are plenty of books available through which she can read and gain knowledge. Schools are just for making memories and for fun. Yeah, schools making memories and fun definitely is a part of schooling and the education system. But the education system has much more things to contribute than just memories and fun. It inculcates a sense of discipline in your life. It inculcates a sense of learning in your life. It inculcates a sense of purpose in your life, what you need to do in the future. So there are much more many things which you might not actually grasp, but those things do come to you from the school, right, Prathamesh? Yeah, right, Rani. That's good. Correct. Okay, yeah. So this last exercise, let us just complete this one. Page number 21. Let's work these out. The third question, classify the following of occupations under primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. Okay, so first we have a tailor. What do you think this is, primary, secondary or tertiary?
Tertiary sector.
Very good. Okay. A basket weaver,
Secondary sector.
secondary sector.
Secondary.
Yes, correct. Good.
Second.
Flower cultivator,
Primary sector.
primary sector. Good, correct. Milk vendor,
Tertiary.
tertiary sector. Correct. He's a milk vendor. He's not working in the dairy. He's just selling the milk. That's all. Fisherman,
Primary.
primary sector. Correct.
Primary.
A priest,
Tertiary. Tertiary.
tertiary sector. Good. What about a courier?
Tertiary. Tertiary.
Tertiary sector. Good. Workers in a match factory,
Secondary.
Secondary.
secondary. Correct. Money lender,
Tertiary.
tertiary. Correct.
Tertiary.
A gardener,
Primary.
Primary.
a gardener, again it is a service render, so it would be a tertiary gardener. Okay.
Sir, how do we make tertiary sector?
See, gardener just is a caretaker of the garden. Okay. He is not working in his own land, or he is not growing trees, producing things for selling again. Right. He is just offering a service to another person who owns that garden in the house normally. Or it could be a school gardener or whatever. He is just rendering a service. That is why it comes under the tertiary sector.
Sir, that milk vendor I was asking.
Milk vendor is vendor. The name vendor itself needs to, it adds this over here. He is doing the work of buying the milk from a dairy and selling it to the person. He is doing the vending job. He buys from someone and sells it. So that is the milk vendor. So that is why it is the tertiary one. Okay, so priest, as Ankit is asking, priest is a pujari working in a temple, right? Okay, after gardener we have a potter, person making pots, secondary sector, correct. A beekeeper,
Secondary. Secondary.
a beekeeper would actually come under primary because he's producing producing honey over there, looking after the bees and producing honey. So actually this would come under the primary sector. Then the honey would go for bottling, right, which will be under the secondary sector. So the beekeeper is actually primary sector work over here. An astronaut, tertiary sector, and then last we have a call center employee,
Tertiary.
right, under the tertiary sector. So I think with these examples, there is more clarity that you get under what comes under the primary, what comes under the secondary, and what comes under the tertiary, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So someone had some doubt about school reopening. What was that? Anyway, I'll just look at the doubt later. 1 minute. So let me just conclude this class over here. Does anyone have any other kind of doubt regarding this lesson about the sectors of Indian economy?
No, sir.
No. Okay, fine. Right. So now in your portfolio for this particular lesson, I'll give you a small activity which you need to do for this particular lesson. That's sectors of Indian economy. What you need to do is, if you open any newspaper, I hope you people get newspapers at home. If not, please borrow it from your neighbor or from somewhere. Take a newspaper, and in that newspaper, a particular day of the week, you will be having a column which normally posts job requirements. Job requirements, any kind of vacancy in different places. This is called as a classifieds. So this is this job section.
Yes, sir.
I want you to search whatever jobs are there. Please take a cutout of this, cut those parts out from the newspaper, and those jobs I want you to classify under primary, secondary, or tertiary. Now, say for example, a job requirement is there, means school teacher required in some school. So cut it out in your book. Make 3 pages. First, one page for the primary, second page for the tertiary, and the third page for the secondary. Primary, secondary, and tertiary, 3 pages. So the school teacher job, you will paste it on the tertiary sector section, and then you get another job, another this where a factory worker required for some factory in Udyambag. Okay, so that would come under secondary sector. You cut that out and paste it in the secondary sector like that. So this is the task that you have to do. Hmm. Tomorrow anyway you got a holiday, so you can sit and do this at home, right? See, at least in each section you get about 4 to 5. No, you can get easily. Primary sector jobs are a little bit difficult to find. You might not find it very easily, but secondary and tertiary definitely you'll get plenty. So it's a nice task. Go through newspapers. You can take how many ever newspapers you want. In the newspaper, they will not give that this is a primary sector
Okay,
one
sir.
or secondary or tertiary. You need to analyze and find out what category it comes under.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So timetable, uh, time couple.
Now, what was that, Shamli? I could not get you.
So
Excuse
timetable on 23rd school is start, right?
Timetable. We will post it a day, one day earlier. You can get your books accordingly. It will be till 1 o'clock.
excuse me,
School
sir.
will be till 1 o'clock.
Time.
Yes, Sagar.
Sir, in which group that activity?
Do it in your portfolio. The portfolio register that you have made now. Do it in that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, timing, timetable, everything
The
you will
timing.
get it. Timing, timetable, all these things we are still working out on that. You will get it by Saturday. Don't worry.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So except term one exam, do we have any other upcoming exams held by our school? In your school, though, we'll have plenty of exams. Don't worry. We'll have plenty of exams till you and make you nice, strong, and ready for your final exams, 10th standard.
Okay, sir.
Right. Okay. So. That's it for today's class. I hope everybody has understood this lesson.